What if Niccolò Machiavelli was alive today? Not in Florence, but online. Would he be a tech mogul, a political influencer, or the invisible puppeteer behind every algorithm? In the age of followers, firewalls, and fake news, what does it mean to hold real power? Today you'll find out. But before we dive into Machiavelli's digital playbook, make sure you subscribe to Philosophical Pulse, where ancient wisdom meets modern strategy. Like the prince himself said, power is built, not begged for, and this video, it's your blueprint. Watch it till the end or risk missing the strategy that could redefine your influence. Let's begin. The digital territory, a new kind of kingdom. In Machiavelli's time, a prince needed territory, land to rule, walls to defend, enemies to outmaneuver. In our time, the new kingdom is attention. The battlefield is everywhere: Instagram feeds, TikTok trends, YouTube thumbnails, viral tweets. And the new currency of conquest? Perception. Machiavelli believed it was better to be feared than loved. If you couldn't be both. Online, that's still true but twisted. Today, it's better to be seen than correct. Better to be provocative than perfect. Because in the algorithm's eyes, controversy is king. Let that sink in. You don't need to own land anymore. You just need to own the narrative. Perception is power. Machiavelli warned rulers, don't focus on being good, focus on appearing good. The digital world rewards the same tactic. People follow the image of power, not the truth behind it. You can be insignificant in real life, but if your online presence commands attention, you hold more sway than CEOs in boardrooms. The game has changed, but the rules? Machiavelli wrote them 500 years ago. He said, men judge more by the eye than by the hand. What they see is what they believe. This is why personal branding isn't vanity. It's strategy. Control what they see, and you control what they think. The digital prince knows one thing. Control is invisible. A real Machiavellian doesn't crave likes. He craves leverage. The power to push trends, manipulate moods, make the masses think they chose, when really they followed. A tweet can start a riot. A reel can make a movement. A YouTube video like this one can plant a seed in the mind that grows for years. Machiavelli would understand that, and he'd exploit it ruthlessly. He wouldn't shout for power. He'd whisper in DMs, code it into software, filter it through influencers who don't even know they're pawns. He'd make you beg for what he wants you to need. If you're starting to feel the weight of this knowledge, you're only a quarter of the way into the prince's modern mind. Subscribe now to Philosophical Pulse, because we're just peeling back the mask. Comment below, do you think power in the digital age is more dangerous or more democratic? Coming up next, the art of manipulation without detection. A tactic Machiavelli would have mastered, even in a world of AI, bots, and digital footprints. Remember, you're not just scrolling. You're choosing whether to be manipulated or to learn how to wield the tools of influence yourself. Watch till the end, because the final piece is the most dangerous one, the one Machiavelli would have never published. But we will. Stay with us. The invisible strings. What if I told you the most powerful people online aren't the ones with millions of followers? They're the ones with no face, no profile, and no digital fingerprints. They pull strings from the shadows, like digital princes cloaked in anonymity. And they never ask for attention. They just shape it. In this part, we explore manipulation without detection, the true Machiavellian art form, reborn for the digital age. Subscribe to Philosophical Pulse if you haven't already, because this part, it's a lesson in silent domination. The algorithm is the new court. In Machiavelli's Florence, princes had to master the royal court, who to flatter, who to fear, and who to eliminate quietly. Today's court is not filled with nobles, it's coded with algorithms. And to win this game, You don't need a throne. You need reach. The smart digital prince doesn't fight the algorithm. He feeds it. He knows what to say, when to say it, and how to package it in a way that triggers emotion, outrage, desire. Not because he believes it, but because he knows you will. That's not deception. It's strategy. Influence is engineered, not earned. Machiavelli taught rulers to do whatever was necessary, even if it meant faking morality or betraying allies. Today, people still play that game. Only now, they smile into cameras, preach authenticity, while quietly buying bots, planting stories, or manipulating analytics. Power isn't earned. It's engineered. Just like Machiavelli advised, create the illusion of strength, of goodness, of popularity, because when the crowd sees someone rising, they'll follow blindly, even if the rise was artificial from the start. Manipulation without detection. The real power lies not in obvious dominance, but in subtle nudges, not shouting orders, but crafting triggers. Machiavelli would call this making others act in your interest while thinking it's their own. Think of digital manipulation like this. A tweet that sparks rage drives engagement. A video title that provokes fear increases click-through. A poll asking a loaded question shapes public opinion even before results come in. The Machiavellian digital strategist doesn't speak the loudest. He writes the script for those who do. And the most terrifying part? You'll thank him for it. The loyalty trap. In The Prince, Machiavelli warned rulers, never rely on loyalty unless you've manufactured it through fear or necessity. In the digital world, loyalty is even more fragile. People switch sides at the swipe of a screen. Cancel today, worship tomorrow. So the question becomes, how do you hold loyalty in a world that forgets in 15 seconds? You build it through dependency. You become the source they can't live without. The creator who always tells the truth. The feed they check for confidence, comfort, or controversy. The platform that feels like home, even if it controls them. Control their needs, and you never have to beg for loyalty again. We're now halfway through this digital descent into Machiavellian tactics. If you're still here, you're not just curious. You're ready to wield power, not just witness it. So like the video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Philosophical Pulse for more videos like this. Tell us, what's more dangerous today? The person with the power, or the person who pretends to have it? Stay tuned, because coming up next, how Machiavelli would build an army without soldiers, and conquer without war. The greatest manipulation is the one no one notices, and that's the secret of digital power. You don't take control by force. You let them hand it to you. Watch till the end, because the final strategy reveals how to make power permanent. Machiavelli never believed in safety, only in survival. Power without position. We often imagine power as a title, a throne, a CEO badge, a blue checkmark. But Machiavelli knew better. He understood that true power doesn't require a crown, just influence. And influence is far more potent when no one sees it coming. In this part, we explore how Machiavelli would build an army without soldiers, how he'd command loyalty without a uniform, and how, in today's world, he'd wage psychological warfare without ever stepping onto a battlefield. If you're finding this eye-opening, remember to subscribe to Philosophical Pulse. Comment your thoughts below, because this is the moment where illusion becomes empire. The crowd is the new army. Machiavelli once said, "A wise prince should build on what is his, not what is someone else's." Today, he'd look at followers not as fans, but as weapons. Every retweet is a foot soldier. Every comment, a shield. Every viral clip, a siege on the enemy. But here's the Machiavellian twist. He wouldn't beg for followers. He'd polarize. Why? Because loyalty born from love fades. but loyalty born from identity, that lasts. The moment people feel like part of your mission, your cause, they'll fight for you, even without asking. That's not just influence, that's control. The enemy doesn't have to exist. You can invent one. One of Machiavelli's darkest insights was this: if you want unity, give the people a common enemy. Not necessarily a real one, just someone to blame, someone to fear. In the digital world, this tactic thrives. They're lying to you. Mainstream media won't tell you this. This is what they don't want you to know. Sound familiar? Machiavelli would thrive in a landscape of outrage, because outrage rallies the masses faster than logic ever could. Invent a threat, position yourself as the defender, and watch the army build itself. Building the digital army, step by step. Here's how a digital prince builds power without direct rule. 1. Control the message. Not with facts but with framing. Make your version of reality more emotionally satisfying than the truth. 2. Craft identity. Use phrases like we, us, they. Divide so you can unite. 3. Reward loyalty. Retweets, likes, shoutouts, they're not vanity. They're currency. Make your followers feel seen, and they'll become soldiers. 4. Stay adaptable. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good." In the digital space, this means dropping trends when they die, switching styles, shifting tones, evolving faster than the algorithm. Because permanence doesn't exist here. Only relevance does. The power of the mob. Machiavelli feared the mob when uncontrolled, but admired its force. Today, the mob is your greatest tool, if you know how to aim it. Cancel culture, viral takedowns, brand wars, these aren't random. They're often orchestrated. A true digital strategist doesn't just join movements. He creates them. He drops a single match, then lets the crowd burn down the structure. And while everyone's looking at the chaos, he's already building his next domain, untouched. We are now 3/4 through this strategy blueprint. If you're still watching, congratulations. You're not a spectator anymore. You're becoming the kind of thinker Machiavelli respected. Subscribe to Philosophical Pulse and tell us in the comments, do you believe crowds are powerful, or are they just manipulated tools? Coming up next, how Machiavelli would weaponize silence. Not by saying more, but by mastering the art of strategic restraint. Machiavelli didn't need to lead armies. He just needed people to believe in a cause, to fear a threat, to follow even when they didn't know why. That's power. Not by domination, but by direction. Keep watching, because the most dangerous lesson is the one about silence, and it's coming next. The strategic weapon of silence. In a world where everyone's talking, the one who says nothing commands the most attention. Machiavelli would have understood this perfectly. In the digital realm where noise is constant, where tweets fly every second, and hot takes drown reason, silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. In this part, we'll uncover how Machiavelli would use restraint as a weapon, how not responding becomes the ultimate flex, and how, in a sea of voices, the one who waits wins. If this resonates, if you feel the tension building, subscribe to Philosophical Pulse right now, because the final chapter is near, and what comes next will change how you speak or don't speak, forever. The power of restraint. Machiavelli warned princes against emotional outbursts. He advised patience, calculation, cold precision. Whoever conquers anger conquers himself, he might have said. In the digital age, this becomes gold, because the internet tempts us constantly to respond to trolls, to defend every idea, to react emotionally and immediately. But a true Machiavellian, he lets others show their hand. He waits, and when the moment is right, he strikes with silence. Why silence wins in the attention economy. Every word you say online is ammunition. can be twisted, screen recorded, spun against you, but silence can't be misquoted. It makes people guess. It breeds mystery. It builds power. Because when you withhold your voice, people project their own fears, hopes, and assumptions onto you. And perception, remember, is everything. Machiavelli didn't believe in transparency. He believed in control. Silence gives you that. You don't owe the world your every thought. You only owe them what helps your strategy. Case study: strategic absence. Look at modern influencers who disappear after controversy. The world demands a statement, a video, an apology, but those who don't speak, they often return stronger. Why? Because the silence reframes the narrative. It gives time, distance, mystery, creates a hunger, and when they reappear, their words are 10 times more powerful, because we waited for them. This is Machiavelli in action, not reacting emotionally, but re-emerging with control. Know when to withdraw. Machiavelli would have been a master of digital withdrawal. He'd know when to post, and more importantly, when not to. He'd ghost platforms just long enough to build suspense. He'd leave messages unread to build desire. He'd make others chase his attention, while never seeming desperate for theirs. You see, the moment you stop reacting, you stop being predictable. And when you're unpredictable, you're powerful. Strategic silence versus cowardice. But make no mistake, this isn't about fear. Machiavellian silence is active, not passive. It's the difference between hiding and watching. You're not escaping conflict. You're letting your enemies burn out their energy. You're giving them the illusion of dominance until you decide it's time to reclaim the floor. And when you speak again, you do it with force, clarity, and control. That's not cowardice. That's power on your terms. We're now 90% into this Machiavellian blueprint. If you've made it this far, you're not watching by accident. You're ready to think, act, and influence like a modern strategist. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to Philosophical Pulse. Drop a comment below. Have you ever used silence to control a situation? Because coming up next is the final part, and what you're about to hear is the piece Machiavelli would never say out loud. The unspoken law of power, one that applies more now than it ever did in Renaissance Italy. Everyone wants to be loud, to be seen, to be heard. But power, real power, doesn't chase attention. It waits for the right moment, then speaks with gravity. In a world addicted to speed, Machiavelli would be the one walking slowly, while everyone else runs in circles. The next and final part is not about how to gain power, it's about how to keep it. And if you skip that, everything you've learned may collapse. Watch to the end. The last law is the most dangerous of them all. The final unspoken law. You've followed the trail. You've studied the manipulation, the silence, the crowd, the illusion. But Machiavelli, he saved his darkest truth for the end. Because it's not enough to gain power. You must know how to keep it. And keeping power in the digital world is not about loyalty. It's not about content. It's about fear and forgettability. Yes, both. This final part will expose the psychological trap Machiavelli would use to stay untouchable. But first, subscribe to Philosophical Pulse if you haven't already, because this is it. And if you skip this part, you will miss the code that protects everything we've built so far. Let's finish the game. Power is maintained through calculated fear. Let's be clear. Machiavelli never said, "Be cruel." He said, "Be feared when necessary and make it memorable." In today's terms, that doesn't mean being a villain. It means being a force. Someone whose presence makes people pause. Whose reputation precedes them in every comment section. How do you achieve that? You engineer your mystique. When you speak, be deliberate. When you act, do it with precision. And when you retaliate, do it once and make it count. The digital prince doesn't attack often. He just makes sure when he does, people remember. Fear is not about being aggressive. It's about being untouchable. The art of disappearing. Here's a truth most creators never understand. You don't need to always be present to be powerful. In fact, presence often dilutes potency. Machiavelli would vanish on purpose. Not because he was weak, but because he knew something modern minds forget. Absence intensifies importance. The more they miss you, the more they value you. He'd post at unpredictable intervals. He'd disappear after making an impact. He'd retreat when others expect a reaction. Because being everywhere is the death of mystery. And without mystery, power dies. Reinvent or be replaced. Machiavelli didn't trust comfort. He warned that when you stop adapting, you fall. And in today's fast-moving world, relevance is temporary. So what would Machiavelli do? He'd evolve faster than the comments. He'd change direction before the backlash began. He'd burn his old image to build a newer, more powerful one. Just like that. That's the secret to digital survival. Not just growth, reinvention. Because the moment they think they understand you, you become predictable. And when you're predictable, you're powerless. Betrayal as a strategy. Now, the most uncomfortable truth of all. Machiavelli knew that sometimes you must betray the very thing that made you rise. An idea, a movement, even an audience. Why? Because loyalty to power matters more than loyalty to people. Let that sit. He wouldn't betray out of cruelty, but out of calculation. Because sentimentality is a luxury rulers cannot afford. If your following demands something that weakens you, you shed them. If your brand locks you in, you rebrand. That's not selfish. That's survival. You've reached the final piece. And if you're still here, you now understand something most never will. Power in the digital world isn't just about growth. It's about control, of perception, of emotion, of identity. And Machiavelli, he wouldn't be chasing followers. He'd be architecting entire ecosystems of belief. If this changed the way you think, subscribe to Philosophical Pulse right now. Comment below which of Machiavelli's strategies felt most unsettling and which felt most true. This is not just a philosophy, it's a blueprint. Use it wisely, or watch it be used against you. Machiavelli's ghost walks with us, not in the streets of Florence, but in the code of platforms, in viral outrage, in silence that cuts louder than noise. And now you've seen through the fog. You've learned how a digital prince rises, not with followers, but with foresight, not by shouting, but by shaping, not by pleasing, but by positioning. This is your final lesson. But power is a continuous game. And now, it's your move.